Chapter 31. Forming Inner Force. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The threat had been eliminated. Lin Durong simply stood still, left in huge shock. After not seeing Qin Feng for half a month, he felt like this was his first time meeting him. To his surprise, Qin Feng had become extremely powerful. Judging from the fact that Qin Feng could donate 1,000 pounds of Beast General's flesh to the orphanage, Lin Durong somewhat guessed that Qin Feng had become more powerful than before. The young ones were slowly becoming more powerful than the older generation. Qin Feng had just single-handedly killed 2 thugs and injured 3 more. The ones who were still breathing were lying on the ground, suffering in pain. Qin Feng's gaze moved toward Lin Durong, who was staring back at him. His heart did a few skips, wondering if Lin Durong saw him differently, thinking that he had turned cruel and had lost himself. With all things considered, however, Qin Feng hadn't the single ounce of regret having killed and maimed his enemy. So long Lu Meng was gone, he did not mind if Lin Durong hated him for being merciless. Qin Feng, don't be afraid. They are all dead now. Instead of showing any displeasure, Lin Durong somehow noticed a change in Qin Feng's look. In his mind, he believed Qin Feng was shell-shocked after he killed those thugs. No matter what the boy did, Qin Feng was forever his dearest child. You let me deal with it. Don't you worry, said Lin Durong while tapping on Qin Feng's shoulder. Lin Durong saw him no differently. He breathed a sigh of relief. I'm fine, replied Qin Feng with his head bowed. He wasn't about to let Lin Durong see his sunken expressions. With everything settled down, Lin Durong made a call to the patrol team. Minutes later, the patrol members arrived. Good God, Director! What happened here? Exclaimed the shocked leader of the patrol. Being an F.tier captain, he was mortified and started shaking when he saw the mangled corpses on the path. Qin Feng quietly shuffled behind Lin Durong's shadow, hoping to stay as inconspicuous as possible. These few thugs were armed and tried to extort me. Luckily, my kid was here to protect me. Otherwise, it would have been my body lying here instead of theirs. What? How dare those sleazebags come to my turf and pull these heinous crimes? Cuff them and throw M in the back. I want M off my streets. Yes, Captain. Everything had been dealt with real fast, with the officers dragging the 5 away in chains. Typically, members of the patrol had the highest authority in a colony. Considering the colony was inhabited by anything from the lowest of scums to the highest of palaces, incidents like this were fairly common. The death of 5 thugs had nobody bothered. I know you left the orphanage 5 years ago. Word around the street is that I'm super stingy. But, to be honest, I'm actually very well connected. Just come and look for me if you are in trouble, said Lin Durong. If it was the old Qin Feng, Lin Durong would definitely not give him special care. The orphanage usually had too much to handle, and the orphans were pretty much on their own. Qin Feng was different, however. Lin Durong knew that he would become someone great in the future. I will keep it in mind, Director. Everything Qin Feng did today had truly impressed the Director. It was also the first time that Qin Feng witnessed the softer, more human side of Lin Durong. In this cruel world, it was not easy to become someone like Qin Feng. After that, the Director was sent to the plantation courtesy of the patrol car. Qin Feng returned to the hotel as well. After enduring and braving battles from yesterday and today, Qin Feng's inner force was tumbling inside his body. He could feel that he was now stronger. However good that may sound, an experienced ability user like Qin Feng knew that this was actually not right. True inner force was usually calm in one's body. It would only start tumbling around when one started to channel it. After Qin Feng returned to his room, he sat on the floor with his legs crossed, focusing his entire mind on his dantian. Just like his experience with the ability core, the image of the Dantian was materialized in his mind. The Dantian looked very different from an ability core. One usually imagined the ability core floating in a starry sky, but the Dantian looked like an empty space with four walls that were made of flesh. It was common to spot inner force floating within the walls and being transferred to other places. Ancient warriors had been through hundreds of years of evolution. Usually, a beginner could feel the inner force floating within their bodies, as fine as a thread. It could travel between the blood vessels and nerves, using this as a network to travel the body. This, in turn, could significantly increase one's power. When a person's NEI threads reached a certain amount, they would turn into chi orbs. This was the sign of the evolution into an F-tier ancient warrior. Under normal circumstances, a person who possessed 9 NEI threads would be automatically qualified to call himself an F-tier ability user. The amount of NEI threads determined the rank of the person in the group. In other words, there were varying degrees of strengths, where there could be a mighty ability user and also a mediocre ability user in the same category. I have about 15 NEI threads now. All 15 of his NEI threads were extremely thin. After summoning his willpower in an attempt to feel them, he found them all in different sizes. It was rather chaotic. He knew that things could take a worse turn if he did nothing about it. However, it was extremely troublesome and time-consuming work tidying up one's messed up inner force. Suddenly, he remembered a hypothesis he made earlier. Qin Feng immediately activated his special ability. Absorb. Subsequently, all his NEI threads were being absorbed by something, gradually becoming thinner and thinner. Eventually, all of them had disappeared. All the inner force he had with him had come by really easy. All he needed to do was to defeat a few foes that were weaker than him. This made him feel a little better, ignoring all the NEI threads that were gone from his body. On the contrary, he was actually worried about the somewhat bizarre side effects messy NEI threads could bring. After his NEI threads were being absorbed, he could feel that his veins were filled with energy, and they expanded as well. Veins were typically the foundation of channeling inner force. With them becoming bigger, it would be easier and faster for Qin Feng to absorb inner force that was around his body. After his veins were expanded, all his inner force came charging out from his dantian to the upper dantian located in the middle of his forehead. Though the ability core was thought to lay in one's consciousness, there were schools of intellectuals that argued it was actually located at the upper dantian. All of Qin Feng's inner forces were trying to enter the ability core, but it seemed like the ability core was rejecting them. As they attempted to penetrate the ability core, they were ejected and sent back to the lower dantian. This process had converted 15 NEI threads into 5 NEI threads, albeit, extremely tough and stable ones. Success. I can stop worrying about side effects of the asteroid assimilation skill. This will become my most powerful skill. Qin Feng was lit with excitement as he thought about these things. All of a sudden, he could feel a surge of energy bursting out from his mind. When he tried to figure out where it came from, he discovered that it was actually from Xiao Bai. Xiao Bai. Qin Feng turned around to look at Xiao Bai, which was currently lying on the bed. In total, it had been asleep for 16 hours. The qi around it was undergoing some major transformation. It still looked like a small beast, but it was most definitely about to evolve soon. Chapter 32. Crafted equipment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. By Beast Rankings, Xiao Bai was born an ordinary beast soldier. After evolution, it would become a beast general. Qin Feng could also feel that Xiao Bai's personal storage space had increased to 10 meters. Initially, it was only about a meter long. In other words, it was equivalent to a cubic meter. And now it had transformed into 1,000 cubic meters. That was as big as a house. Even Qin Feng himself felt that Xiao Bai's ability of rapid expansion was grossly overpowered. Inside Xiaobai's space, Qin Feng could spot some other things lying around. There were 2 front teeth, nails from paws, and a pile of fur. All these belonged to the giant rats. Of course, some flesh had been left there as well. Qin Feng came across an idea when he saw all the unused materials. Undeniably, a T3 uniform was really tough and practical. It was made with skin and fur with the latest technology. It could be used to keep someone warm or cool them down, not to mention that they almost always came at reasonable prices. However, Qin Feng would not forget when Lu Meng got attacked by the jackals. A swipe from the jackal was powerful enough to tear apart her T3 battle suit. Luckily, she had inner armor, which protected her from the lethal attack. Inner armor of this kind was known as rune equipments. This type of rune equipment was made of the beast's skin and fur as well, each which required different techniques to craft them. For example, rune equipments with silver rays were made of a beast king's fur and skin. One would usually put on this kind of rune equipment with an outer armor. The armor type could be concealed with light-emitting paint, masking its real color. Beast soldiers would emit blue light. Beast generals would emit purple light. Beast kings would emit silver light. Beast emperors would emit golden light. I think all these materials here are enough to craft a rune equipment, he thought to himself. Qin Feng then glanced at his communicator. He had earned around 1.2 million. After the rat tsunami fight, he was rewarded with 6.73 million. Add that up with the 900,000 that he made from the bet, he now had a total of 8.8 million yuan in his account. That stash of money was almost enough to buy an entire rune equipment. After pondering over some thoughts, he decided he could significantly lower its cost if he provided the blacksmith with materials. And so, he decided that it would be the first thing he would do in the morning. The second day, at the center of Qingbei Colony. Half a month ago, Qin Feng had bought a T3 battle suit in this very place. The moment he entered the shop, the staff swiftly approached him. After all, Qin Feng had gone through a huge transformation. This time, he was tightly equipped with a battle suit, no longer the messy urchin that entered his shop half a month ago. Qin Feng realized that the one who welcomed him was the same employee that had sold him the battle suit half a month ago. His name was Sun Yu. "Hi sir, it's you again. How may I be of service?" He was surprised that Sun Yu could still recognize him. I want to craft some equipment, but you'll have to keep it a secret." "Do you think you can do it for me?" asked Qin Feng with a raised eyebrow. Crafting a piece of rune equipment was extremely expensive. Seeing the opportunity for a handsome profit, Sun Yu was extremely excited. "Yes. I can do it. Please follow me." Sun Yu then brought Qin Feng to the guest room, where they both could be alone. Scanning around for a bit, Qin Feng did not find any camera around him and was eventually satisfied. Finally, he took out the materials that he had in his backpack and showed them to Sun Yu. "Take a look at all these materials," said Qin Feng. Sun Yu's heart was thumping in his chest. Though he was still young, he was an enthusiast and had delved deep into crafting equipment after landing himself this job. There was a total of 3 floors at Wanzhong organization. Considering most of the people from Qingbei Colony could afford them, the battle suits could be easily found on the first floor. The second and third floor was where the good stuff was. Here, a large amount of high-tier equipment could be found. That included rune equipment and G-tier equipment. They had at least 100,000 pieces of equipment lying around. "Sir, if I'm not mistaken, this is the skin and fur of a beast king. Judging by its size, it should be sufficient to make a shirt. If there's material left, we can craft them into gloves, arm guards, and knee pads." Sun Yu was ecstatic, being his first time getting such a big business opportunity. "Prioritize the shirt. I want to craft combat sabers with those tusks. Of course, I know I have limited materials here. The dagger doesn't have to be big. Just make sure that the quality is top-notch. No problem, sir. The total for both items comes up to 3 million yuan. You'll need to pay 10% up front, and you can come and collect the product in 10 days. Great. Qin Feng then signed a contract with Sun Yu and paid 300,000 yuan. After that, Sun Yu brought over a safe that resembled a box with a password-secured lock and stored all the materials in front of Qin Feng. It would then be sent to Wanzhong factory where a camera would record the entire process of crafting the equipment. This ensured that every piece of material could be traced and would be accounted for. Having gotten himself a deal, he opened the door and exited with a smile. Upon leaving the shop, a car advertisement that was playing on the big screen on a building caught Qin Feng's attention. All the while, he had no intention to purchase one. However, Xiaobai's storage space had grown exponentially all of a sudden. Now seemed like the right time. Let's go take a look, he grinned while rubbing his hands together. Immediately, he walked towards the showroom conveniently located below the giant billboard. Before he was reborn, all the cars around here were luxurious sedans. After all, he was an A-tier ability user. He would need to drive to dangerous areas from time to time, which was why he skipped all the cars that were not practical. Due to his limited funds, Qin Feng did not have many options to choose from. Soon, he found his target. Hovering Phantom series. This one was a looker. It had the sexy curves of a supercar and was so low it almost scraped the ground. Its wheels were concealed, with only part of them visible from the outside. One look would tell such a car wasn't equipped for the off-road ruggedness of the wilderness. What made it so in demand was that it was powered by a wind attribute energy rune, allowing it to float at least 3 meters from the ground. With this technology, the car could actually drive over whatever terrain it encountered, and of course, the latest in technology did come with a hefty price. Carrying a ridiculous price tag of 8 million yuan, it was almost impossible for ordinary people to procure. To the ability users and ancient warriors, on the other hand, this car severely lacked in defense. Driving around with it was like a death trap, with little to no protective elements. In other words, it was a dud, something that was brawn over brain. Worse, it was usually driven by rich brats as a status symbol. Qin Feng weighed his options. It wasn't all negative. With the space that Qin Feng had right now, getting a less than stellar vehicle wouldn't be much of a problem. Besides, the hovering Phantom was the cheapest hover car he could find in the market right now. Chapter 33. Combat Hover Car. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Being the symbol of ultimate luxury, the hover car was coveted and lusted by throngs of people, a very desirable item indeed. One of these was occupied by 2 men, enjoying every last bit of comfort the vehicle had to offer. Guess what, cousin, this car is awesome. I'm going to make damn sure I'll get myself one when I graduate, said the young man at the driver's seat. He even started to imagine the attention that he would get when he drove around with this car. It's really awesome, but it's too damn expensive. 8 freaking million. Luckily, you have acquired the ancient warrior disposition, if not, it would have been impossible for us to get this car. You are right. Hey, I think you've just gotten yourself a chance to get one. I heard Ms. Louis, and you are in the same class. She is the daughter of the richest person in Qingbei Colony. All you need to do is woo her. If you succeed, you can even get yourself a heavy machine. Are you really going to let your girl buy you a car? If it were to be me, I'd be damn embarrassed to even drive it. Keep in mind the word freedom will cease to exist once you rely on her financially. I would rather work hard until I can afford it myself. Inside his heart, he was actually boiling with anger. The thought of wooing Lady Louis had its consequences. Grave consequences that might dictate his future. With that thought in his mind, the hover car suddenly didn't seem so attractive anymore. After what he had been through, he did not dare to venture into the wilderness anymore. At the same time, Qin Feng had his attention glued to the car. He could recognize one of them. He was one of Lu Meng's classmates named Wang Kai. Although he recognized the person, he decided not to greet him, considering they were simply acquaintances. Qin Feng blinked twice before he snapped out of his thoughts and summoned a salesman over. "What excellent taste you have, sir. The Phantom Series hover car is our most versatile off-road vehicle. It's compact enough to pass through obstacles with the utmost confidence. Our double-seated model here is the more comfortable one. It features a large rear compartment, and we have even included a small chiller for you to store your loot. Not only that, but the Phantom Series bespoke shell is also tough enough to endure attacks from F-tier beasts. We have incorporated a light-absorbing system that enables the vehicle to recycle used energy, giving it unprecedented range when compared to our competitors. We have even upgraded the regular safety features. Exclusive to our customers, we have incorporated an ultra-powerful signal transmitter for every Phantom grade. It scans for dangerous creatures within a 1,000 mile radius and alerts the driver. Our interactive user interface enables you to see a perfect 3D rendering of the discovered beast." The salesman was well trained and eloquently spoken, not missing out on a single feature he thought would attract Qin Feng. Though Qin Feng did not have his ability user badge with him, his combat suit was enough to show others that he was someone to be reckoned with. In fact, the main reason why the salesperson was so eager to explain the car was that she saw the energy gun that he carried with him. Besides, he exuded a cold aura, making him more formidable. It would be hard for anyone not to notice it. Just as the salesperson was about to continue her sales pitch, Wang Kai exited the car. With a quick persuasion, she asked Qin Feng, "Sir, you should experience sitting in the car." "All right." Qin Feng nodded. At the same time, Wang Kai looked up and saw Qin Feng. "It's you." Wang Kai glared at Qin Feng with hostility. Initially, Qin Feng had no intention to bother Wang Kai. However, there he was, in between Qin Feng and the car, refusing him entry. "Excuse me," said Qin Feng. "Let you through." "Why should I do that? It's not even your car. I still need more time to experience this ride." Immediately, Wang Kai entered the car again as a sign of defiance. Bam! He slammed the door in Qin Feng's face and raised his eyebrows in scorn. Qin Feng was speechless. "Ha! Leave this place if you don't have the money. Who do you even think you are? You really thought you could afford this," said Wang Kai. "Let's go," said Qin Feng to the salesperson, ignoring the provocation. "I'm really sorry. Please, sir. Allow me to introduce another car to you." In embarrassment, the salesperson apologized profusely to Qin Feng, secretly disgusted at Wang Kai's childish antics. Wang Kai, on the other hand, was smug with the thought that he had managed to embarrass Qin Feng in front of a woman. All it took was a few seconds for Wang Kai to immediately regret his impulsive actions. "I don't need to look at other cars. Go get the paperwork settled. I'm buying this car now." "What?" The salesperson's jaw suddenly dropped. "This car will be mine soon. I want it clean. I'd hate for others to damage it," said Qin Feng. BNOL.M Wang Kai instantly knew Qin Feng was referring to him. Truth was, he could never afford to repay Qin Feng if something terrible did happen to the car. In a blur of rage and impulse, Wang Kai refused to believe that Qin Feng was about to purchase the car here and now. F***CK. Are you trying to scare me off? I will eat the tires in front of you if you can afford to buy this car, shouted Wang Kai. Comment this time, he managed to capture the entire showroom's attention, albeit not the kind of attention that he wanted. Others would be jealous if he was the one who had bought the car. Instead, everyone was now silently tuning in for a drama to unfold before them. After a while, as Qin Feng did not return, he started to smile, relieved but at the same time, still wild and reckless. F***ck. I think the bastard played us. Wang Kai figured that Qin Feng would leave him there and let him embarrass himself. He smirked in a moment of victory. The moment he got down from the car, however, he saw a man in a black suit. The man turned out to be the security detail of the car gallery. Wang Kai also noticed that there was a G3 medal on him. An ability user. "Mister, I'm sorry, but this car belongs to someone now. Please stop fiddling with the vehicle. Your cooperation is most appreciated." "What? Cousin, is that person your enemy? I checked him out just now and saw that he seriously just spent 8 million yuan on the car." Hoping that his little trick would bear fruit, Wang Kai sent his cousin in pursuit of Qin Feng, seeing if he had really purchased the hover car. If so, the two of them would further embarrass him. After all, his family one had to rely on Wang Kai's family. "Qin Feng is the one that bought the car," squealed Wang Kai in utter disbelief. "Sir, please exit the car," the ability user security guard repeated, this time, in a louder and stern manner. Immediately, Wang Kai opened the car door and left the car with his palms sweating. "Let's go," he said, hoping for a quick exit. He was not about to wait for Qin Feng to come back to embarrass him. Unfortunately, time wasn't on his side. "What? You are going to leave now? How about eating the tires?" asked Qin Feng. "Ha ha ha." Everyone in the car gallery burst into roars of laughter. Chapter 34. Venture out again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, never mind. One will costs at least hundreds of thousands of yuan. It's simply too expensive for you to eat it. Get lost. Wang Kai was left speechless. After he exited the car, Qin Feng did not get into it immediately. Instead, the G3 ability user and a few other staff replaced the seats to new ones. They then cleaned the car thoroughly before they even let Qin Feng enter it. He fired up the hover car once he got in and immediately turned on the hover mode. Its wheels started to morph, taking the shape of rocket thrusters that emitted a pulsing, green glow. Wind rune. The Phantom's hovering mode was powered by energy that was stored within it. Most of the cars in Qingbei Colony were not equipped with a hovering mode, managing to capture everyone's attention the moment he fired up its engines. After climbing around 3 meters, it sped off, blowing the hats off everyone, whooshing away from the shop with a mighty gust of wind. That's so cool. Oh god, so that's the combat hover car. That was awesome. Everyone was obviously amused by the car, save for a dejected Wang Kai. His face had darkened to a strange shade of purple, mainly because he assumed Qin Feng had deliberately accelerated right above his head. This was his way of teaching ill-mannered people like Wang Kai. When the hover car had gained speed and altitude, he opened up his backpack, letting Xiao Bai jump out. It curiously scanned at its surroundings before jumping to the company driver's seat. "What do you think about this, eh? From today, you don't have to hide inside the bag anymore." Each time when Qin Feng hopped in any giant off-road vehicle, Xiao Bai had to hide inside his backpack. To make things worse, the off-road vehicle would travel at high speed. These vehicles would almost certainly be crowded and was a less than pleasurable experience. Let alone the tiny Xiao Bai that was cramped up in his backpack. With the purchase of the car, it was no longer necessary for Xiao Bai to hide inside his backpack. The Phantom featured privacy glass, making it impossible for anyone attempting to look in. All they could see was a solid black. Considering that Xiao Bai had only got the chance to catch a glimpse of the world from the window of Qin Feng's room, everything they passed seemed like an incredible discovery to it. The passing scenery soon faded into a blur, causing the little creature's eyes to droop. As quickly as it had intrigued it, it was quickly bored again. Jumping into the next seat, it fell asleep before anyone knew it. Qin Feng could not help but pat it lovingly. Now that I'm in debt, I think I will need to head to the wilderness to earn some quick cash. After spending 8 million to buy the car, Qin Feng was now left with only 500,000 yuan, an amount not nearly enough to pay off the equipment he had ordered earlier. As he drove on, he approached a vast slum. It was a cesspool of cramped, unimaginative high-rise flats that sprawled from every inch of available space. The place was somber and suffocating, but for the orphans, it was a place to live of their dreams. "Zhou Hao, come down for a bit. I brought something for you," said Qin Feng. "Ah. What thing?" "It's a delight to see you hang on, I'm coming down right now." Zhou Hao kept his questions a minimum. Being best friends with Qin Feng, they both had meals together all the time at his place. As a return, Qin Feng would work hard to find some extra cash to buy food Zhou Hao's family meals from time to time. The kindness they had for each other had strengthened their friendship through the times. Soon, Qin Feng saw Zhou Hao running out of his residence. He was now taller and more muscular. Sporting an oversized singlet and a pair of slippers made him look rather sloppy. Seeing the guy drenched in sweat, Qin Feng knew that he must have been working out. After looking around, Zhou Hao managed to locate Qin Feng. Getting off the car with a smile, Qin Feng waved to his friend. "Zhou Hao." One look at the luxurious ride caused Zhou Hao to be at a loss for words. He could only open his mouth in amazement. "Did you go rob a bank or get married to some rich old lady? How did you manage to buy yourself a car like this? Hold on. This is a hover car, right?" Zhou Hao had a silent urge to kiss the car as a gesture of how much he liked it. "What are you talking about? Haha. You should head back now. I brought you some good stuff. Eat it immediately when you get inside. Let me see what's in here." There were 2 items inside the black plastic bag. The first was meat. Though Zhou Hao had no idea what creature the meat came from, he could feel that it was packed with energy. The second item was a glass jar with a piece of fruit inside it. His eyes suddenly bulged at the realization of what he had at hand. "This is a talent. Shoo. I came across a bunch of it when I was in the wilderness. I sold some and saved one for you." As a matter of fact, Qin Feng only told a half-truth to Zhou Hao. An individual could only consume a single talent fruit. Hence, it was logical for Qin Feng to sell the rest of them. That was why Zhou Hao was suspicious of nothing, thinking he had used the money from selling the fruits for the hover car. "How dare you? Got a new car, and you didn't call me on an adventure, huh? You are one lucky bastard. Look at what you are wearing right now. Others might even think you are an ability user. You should go back now before someone robs you. Remember to eat up the meat and fruit." The meat came from a beast king and was able to fill one with a massive amount of energy after consuming it. Even if Zhou Hao failed to get his special ability awakened, he would at least acquire an ancient warrior disposition. "All right. I will head home and continue training." Zhou Hao grinned widely, waving at Qin Feng while holding the plastic bag tightly. His anxious and suspicious looks made him seem like a thief who had just stolen something. Qin Feng giggled non-stop at his antics in the car. He then turned around and drove to the main road. "I remember this place. I'm afraid some unexpected event might just happen here soon." This was the very event that had thrown Qingbei Colony into a dire crisis. The essential thing was that this event had a silver lining, and could actually solve his problems. Soon, the car was back in the flow of traffic. Although he did not trigger any of the car's cool functions, its exquisite exterior was itself enough to make heads turn. As he exited the colony, a truck full of people passed him. The truck's occupants began teasing whistles. Of course, Qin Feng did not bother to look at them. Soon, He rerouted and was now speeding into the wild wilderness with the Phantom's hovering function activated. It was night, where threats opened their eyes at every nook and cranny. Chapter 35. Hellstone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Qin Feng was now at somewhere about 100 kilometers away from Qingbei Colony. This was one of the spots purged by the savage armies. Hence, there would be no powerful beasts attacking Qin Feng. However, there were still some GE.tier beasts lying around. During spring and autumn, the military would continue to come here to do their annual purge. He decided to set up camp within the confines of the hover car. Besides, why put all that luxury to waste? Before Qin Feng settled to sleep, he sprinkled some beast-repellent powder 20 meters away. Waking up the next morning, he found several beasts trying to approach the vehicle, only to be stopped by the beast-repellent barricade. Seeing the opportunity, Qin Feng quickly rounded them up and killed them. With the encouraging results, he set out to look for another rift. After looking around for some time, his efforts were fruitless and to no avail. I'm pretty sure that I'm at the right location. I think the space rift has not happened yet. Examining the clues, I think it should have happened within these 2 days. Qin Feng's current location was somewhat distant from Qingbei Colony. He could only estimate when the space rift was going to happen. By the time the savage armies came to investigate, it should have been long gone by then. The machine only indicated that the space rift would happen this month, and it was perfectly normal that Qin Feng did not know exact details. To his surprise, however, the space rift was about to take place sooner than he expected. It was evening, and the sky was painted in streaks of orange. Without warning, a part of the sky rippled and twisted. Then, Qin Feng's car started to blare out warnings. Dit. 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 Warning. Warning. A space rift is spawning 500 meters away from you. Unknown creatures inbound. Please be careful. Dit. 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 This space rift is less than 10 centimeters wide. Threat level. G. Dit. 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 A huge surge of energy has been detected. You are recommended to leave your location as soon as possible. Qin Feng quickly lifted up his head to scan his surroundings. He saw cracks appear in place of the ripples, and it suddenly shattered like glass getting hit by a bullet. Typically, space rifts were extremely unpredictable. They could either contain fortunes or threats. This was the second space rift that he'd encountered since he had been reborn into his world. Qin Feng initially thought that it presented a golden opportunity for him to earn a handsome amount of fortune. Or so he wished. He was wrong. This was a major threat. The sudden appearance of the wormhole caused black lightning to cackle all around it. This space rift was different from the one in the razor-fanged infant incident. This one was spawning very slowly. It would seem that Qin Feng still had enough time to flee from the scene. Swoosh! Suddenly, a meteor streaked through the sky. Burning red with charred dark bits flying off it, it left a fascinating flaming trail akin to a comet. Bam! Everything happened in a mighty flash. In a blinding flash, everything around him vaporized and exploded. Qin Feng had no time to react, what more stray any further from his landing spot. Before he could even realize it, the meteor landed only 30 meters away from his hover car. The tremendous force of the impact was almost powerful enough to overturn Qin Feng's hover car. Hovering. Immediately, Qin Feng pressed on the button that allowed the car to hover, and it had managed to nullify the powerful shockwave of the meteor. The only thing that he could not avoid was flying stones and debris, raining upon the car like a furious hailstorm. The entire landscape had been terraformed by the meteor's impact. G. 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 Xiaobai vocalized, extremely agitated. The fur behind its neck all stood up, its flight or fight instinct triggered. Once the rain of sand and stones slowed down, Qin Feng exited his vehicle, deciding to take a good look at the stellar body that had so rudely intruded the calm. This is the Hell Stone. The sight of the stone threw Qin Feng into a shock. The meteor was a black stone that was covered in flames, its black smoke consisting of black runes. The runes were like a virus, where any exposure could turn the person into a zombie. This explains the zombie horde that I encountered some time ago. A catastrophic event had taken place at Qingbei Colony a month ago. Tens of thousands of zombies swarmed the colony at the same time. Though they had all been quickly eliminated, the disease-carrying zombies managed to kill 40% of kids below the age of 16 who had yet to receive awakening serums. The orphanage suffered the most losses during that period. At that time, Lin Durong was not there. Most of the kids from the orphanage were killed by the virus, clearing out the entire first floor of the orphanage. Amid the tragic event, Qin Feng had managed to successfully flee the colony. Before he left the orphanage, he received a message from the employees, asking for a donation to help them deal with the crisis. It was then that Qin Feng gave all his money, enough to keep him alive for a few days. He soon left the place in a hurry. Still, it did not help much. All the while, Qin Feng paid close attention to this incident. Everything that was reported about the orphanage did not match what he witnessed. At first, Qin Feng thought the catastrophic event was caused by the black runes that had escaped the space rift. He had never thought that a Hell Stone was the cause of everything. Hell Stones were considered S-tier special ability items. One might wonder what horrors this stone was capable of bringing. A wild boar had been killed when the stone hit the ground. Instead of staying dead, the swine stood on all fours and let out a long roar. Its enormous body was surrounded by a black aura, and its originally yellow skin had turned gray. It soon started to shed, displaying all the boar's muscles. The weirdest part was, not a single drop of blood had come out from it. Its eyes had now turned red as if possessed by an evil spirit. Zombification. Qin Feng got down from his car without a second thought. It was a well-known fact that killing a zombified creature was extremely difficult. Qin Feng had to land a shot on its head to get a confirmed kill. If Qin Feng came into contact with the beast, there was a high chance that he might turn into a zombie. Zap. The energy gun penetrated the wild boar's head with a long, blue beam. At the same time, the black runes changed direction and were headed towards Qin Feng. Unbeknownst to him, it was actually impossible for him to turn into a zombie because he was a dark ability user. Since all of these are black runes, I wonder if it's possible for me to absorb them all. Qin Feng's primary purpose in coming here was to kill all the dark creatures. He had never thought that the truth could have been so terrifying. Now, panic was setting in. He braced himself and walked toward the dark runes. G. Xiao Bai moving around in the hover car. Nonetheless, it refrained from calling Qin Feng back because it somehow knew that the dark runes were going to benefit him. Xiao Bai might appear to be a small creature, but it was, after all, the child of a high-tier beast and inherited the memory of its parents. Right now, however, it only had its instincts to rely on. Absorb. Qin Feng's special ability core was activated. Chapter 36. Giant Hand from the Rift. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. All the dark runes hundreds of meters away were drawn to Qin Feng like a long streaming dragon. In his mind, he could feel a huge amount currently entering his consciousness and landing on his diamond ability core. Surprisingly, all these runes had only occupied one small spot of it. 10,000 dark runes. He had not expected to have absorbed so many in one go. The power of these dark runes could be compared to a D-tier weapon. When Qin Feng looked up to the sky and discovered that it had been colored black by the hell stone. Dark, ominous clouds were everywhere. It seemed like something huge was about to hit the ground. I cannot let this happen. Thinking about all the children that had lost their lives during the last Dark Rune catastrophe, Qin Feng was determined to stop the events that were about to take place. He immediately ran to the location where the meteor had crashed. A 50-meter-wide crater dug deep into where the hell stone landed. Qin Feng was dumbfounded as he saw it lying there silently. No one knew the origin of hell stones. Since the first space rift had spawned on Earth, there were already too many mysteries left unsolved. A long time ago, a fingernail-sized hell stone landed on one of the cities in a country of the West. Thus, began the Great Apocalypse. The entire city was infected by the virus and turned all its residents into the undead, mindless, disease-carrying zombies. The place was ravaged beyond belief, turning into a living hell overnight, hence its name, the Hell Stone. Until today, the city had been ruled by a beast-king-tier zombie. All that cacophony had been caused by a stone no bigger than a quarter. Now, here Qin Feng was, staring at a fist-sized hell stone. He was incredibly anxious. Hell stones were usually bad news to most people, as it was a well-known fact that dark runes that exuded from it almost always brought forth devastating effects too. On the other hand, this logic did not apply to Qin Feng. To him, this was something that he longed. He stood only 5 meters away from the hell stone. At such close distance, Qin Feng had a good look at the rock. Apparently, there was a fire burning around it, its temperature so high that the ground around it sizzled and liquefied. It seemed like the surrounding land was about to turn into magma. Qin Feng had no time to hesitate anymore. Absorb. Qin Feng's special ability was activated, allowing him to devour the hell stone with ease. Seconds later, the hell stone was gone, and the dark runes stopped spawning as well. Soon after, he felt something unusual going on in his body. Without going into mediation, he could see that a giant satellite had surrounded his diamond planet. It was like the Earth and its moon, both connected. Dark runes kept pouring out of the hell stone to his diamond planet. Soon, it turned his diamond planet into dark red. He could also sense that his dark ability had enhanced by at least 10-fold. This is crazy. 10 folds of improvement. I wonder how many dark runes I absorbed. Just as Qin Feng was about to bask in his excitement, a palm-sized space rift appeared at the sky, and within its confines, a pale hand adorned with black fingernails came out. It seemed like a hand of a corpse, where no blood flowed through it. That had made it look extremely terrifying. G. Suddenly, Xiaobai screamed and it activated the space rune without Qin Feng's consent. Bloop. Qin Feng disappeared into the thin air. This was Xiaobai's special ability after its evolution. Not only could it teleport to a certain place, but it could also bring Qin Feng with it as well. At the same time, the pale hand that appeared in the sky started to swing around. Seconds later, countless bones were summoned, with all of them beginning to combine to form a giant skeletal hand. Qin Feng managed to witness the whole thing. It was at that moment that he realized that it was not a skeletal hand but the claw of a giant beast. The giant claw suddenly landed at where Qin Feng had stood earlier with force comparable to the hell stone that crashed. If it were not for Xiaobai, Qin Feng would have surely been killed. After that, the skeletal claw grabbed a handful of dirt from the ground, thereby forming another giant crater. This was absolutely terrifying. Judging by its immense strength, this creature was more powerful than an S-tier creature. The skeletal claw brought the soil back to the pale hand, which started to wave around. It seemed like it was trying to summon something, but it was fruitless. Qin Feng knew that something bad was about to happen to him. Clearly, the owner of this pale hand was looking for the hell stone. Fortunately, the space rift that the Hell Stone came out from was extremely small, the reason why the creature could not squeeze through it. Considering the strength of the giant skeletal claw, the creature should be S-tier beast king. After searching frantically for a while, the creature let out a roar in frustration as it could not locate the Hell Stone. "Who dares mess with my holy dark stone?" a booming voice roared from the heavens. "Shit!" The creature tried to squeeze its other hand into the space rift. It seemed the rift would surely expand due to the extreme force exerted by the powerful creature. It was determined to look for whoever that had so brazenly taken its Hell Stone. "I can't let him out no matter what." Qin Feng knew that it was useless to run away now. Meanwhile, he managed to come up with the idea that might deal with it. Qin Feng turned on his communicator and sent out info that he'd gotten from his hover car. Reporting back Qingyang City Space Rift Station. A space rift has spawned 300 kilometers northwest of the city. There is a massive amount of energy unleashing from it. An unknown creature is attempting to escape the rift. There's a high chance that it is an S-tier creature. Please send assistance to seal the space rift. After the first space rift spawn on Earth, humans began to work tirelessly to come up with a machine called a space stabilizing device. Usually, space rifts would disappear after some time. The space stabilizing device was used to speed up this closing process. Qin Feng hoped the cavalry would get to him sooner than later, which was why he'd reported to Qingyang City instead of Qingbei Colony. However, they would need still some time to verify the situation. He was nervous, unsure if they would be able to close the rift in time. Presently, the creature was still attempting to enlarge the wormhole. Chirp! 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 Xiao Bai jumped up and teleported 30 meters above the ground. "Xiao Bai! What are you doing?" shouted Qin Feng. Chapter 37. The Class Reunion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Xiao Bai ignored Qin Feng and teleported once more. This time it appeared at 60 meters above the ground. It then teleported again. After 3 teleportation jumps, Xiao Bai was extremely close to the space rift. "Be careful." Qin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Xiao Bai then trampled on the skeletal claw. To the giant creature, Xiao Bai was just a puny creature, no more significant than an ant. With a swift move, Xiao Bai jumped mid-air, turned its tail to silver, and swiped on the creature's hand with a ring on it. Seconds later, the space rift was forced to be sealed away, and Qin Feng could hear an agonizing wail that faded gradually. Swoosh! Without its power source, the giant skeletal hand shattered into pieces and fell from the sky. Thankfully, Xiao Bai managed to teleport away in the nick of time. Finally, Qin Feng could let out a sigh of relief. All the pressure that he had on him earlier was now lifted. It was then that Qin Feng's communicator vibrated. "Mr. Qin, thank you for your report. We have detected that the space rift is now gone. However, there is still danger around you. We will now launch a space rune to stabilize the area. We deeply thank you for your contributions to humanity. 10,000 yuan has been credited to your account as a reward." After that, Qin Feng could see a silver ray penetrating the sky through a few cracks. There were tiny patches of holes even though Xiao Bai had closed off the space rift for the most part. The silver ray was like an eraser, wiping off the cracks. After a long while, the threat was finally neutralized. Eek! 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 Xiao Bai then jumped on top of the hover car with a broken hand in his mouth. It was the hand that had fallen from the sky when Xiao Bai forced the space rift to close. This is. Miraculously, the hand was still in one piece even though it was cut off from the creature. Silver rays emitted from it as Qin Feng took a closer look. Eek! 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 Xiao Bai continued to shout. "Are you asking me to devour it?" asked Qin Feng in surprise. Xiao Bai nodded its head enthusiastically. After signing the contract, both Qin Feng and Xiao Bai had a better understanding of each other's abilities. Otherwise, Xiao Bai would not have brought the hand to him. All right. Without wasting any time, Qin Feng triggered his special ability and started to absorb the energy inside the hand. Even since he was reborn to this world, his special absorbing ability had gradually become more and more powerful. Now, he was able to absorb something without life force with ease. The effect that came with it, however, was potent. He could feel the energy significantly strengthening his bones. Then, a cracking sound came out of his bones, and silver light blasted out of them. With his bones becoming stronger, Qin Feng's speed and strength were also boosted at the same time. His entire body had received upgrades too. G6. Tier. What a surprise of a reward. Soon, his excitement and happiness turned to frustration. There were around 20,000 dark runes in his ability core. However, he would need a mighty consciousness to fully utilize all of them. Right now, his consciousness was still at G. Tier, which meant he could only utilize 1,000 dark runes. He was frustrated by the fact that he could not fully utilize all 20,000 of them when he had them ready in his body. Never mind. Right now, I'm an ability user and an ancient warrior. I will try my best not to use my special ability all the time. Qin Feng was stressed as he changed the way he thought. After that, he spent more time at the location to hunt more ultra beasts for himself. Though he had absorbed the entire Hell Stone, there were still dark runes scattered which had corrupted some ultra beasts nearby. These mutated creatures were far stronger than their ordinary counterparts. To make matters worse, the virus would infect their prey once they were killed. To restore the balance, Qin Feng had decided that he would finish up his good deed, eliminating the plague-bearing monsters. Within the thick foliage of the jungle, Qin Feng was going after a gray monkey. All its skin and fur had fallen off, and it looked like a decaying corpse. Seemingly, it bore resemblance to a long-tailed macaque. Usually, the species swung from branch to branch at high speed and could do whatever they wanted in the wilderness. After the primate was hit by the dark runes, its body started to rot. This, however, did not affect its speed at all. Die. Qin Feng knew that he was never going to catch up to the speeding monkey. He had to figure out another way to kill it. In an attempt to slow it down, he launched a black ray at it. A hint of red light was embedded within the black ray. It was formed by runes chosen by Qin Feng that were from his ability core. Soon, the black ray caught up with the monkey. Screech. 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 The black ray burned its soul, causing it to tumble from the tree. Rolling on the ground in immense pain, hellfire soon engulfed half of its body. By that time, Qin Feng had caught up to it as well. Without thinking twice, he took out a dagger and beheaded the monkey with one swipe. This is one tough opponent. Qin Feng let out a sigh. All the parts on the long-tailed monkey were rendered useless after it was zombified. The only thing that he could salvage was its brain. An energy core grew on its head after its transformation, serving as the energy source of the undead creature. Usually, it was rare to find an energy core in a beast soldier. One had to hunt down a beast general to secure the slightest chance of acquiring an energy core. However, this one was less valuable and could only be sold for 10,000. As of now, Qin Feng had 300 of it, enough to pay off the equipment that he had asked someone to craft earlier. I should go back now. Qin Feng had stayed in the wilderness for a total of 9 days. He was supposed to go and get his equipment in a day. Dit. 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 Qin Feng's communicator vibrated. His eyes grew wide open in surprise when he saw the person calling. It was Chen Ming. A long time had passed since Qin Feng talked to Chen Ming ever since they graduated. Perhaps he felt guilty or embarrassed that he left Qin Feng alone when the space rift appeared before them. That was why he never contacted Qin Feng, until now. Qin Feng, we have a class reunion tomorrow. Remember to join us, alright. Class reunion. That was new. In his past life, Qin Feng had never attended an event like this. Chapter 38. A Conspiracy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. What made you think of organizing a class reunion? Quizzed Qin Feng. Everyone will be dispersing to different places soon. It's a good time for us to gather and have some fun. And I also heard someone in our class had her special ability awakened. It's Zhao Yuanyuan. Qin Feng frowned. Of course, he knew that Zhao Yuanyuan was now an ability user. Due to her lack of talent, she became a plant-type ability user. That meant no one would field her in the battlefield. At most, she could only become a manager at a plantation. Will Zhao Yuanyuan be paying for our meal? I don't think so. Are you worried about going Dutch? The meal is not going to cost much, anyway. I can cover your share. Qin Feng felt that somehow, something didn't seem right. There's no need for that. Just give me the time and location. I will be there tomorrow. The reunion party will be held at Jingyuan Hotel, right beside our school. Room 109. Time is at 8 p.m. Don't be late. After that, Chen Ming hung up the call casually. After giving it some thought, Qin Feng turned on his communicator. As his class had created a chat group, he discovered that some of them had received their awakening potions, and they were about to serve in other places. Once they became an ability user or an ancient warrior, they could either hunt ultra beasts in the wilderness or join the mercenary team. As for those who did not awaken as an ability user, they would have to stay put at the colony and fear for their lives every single day. Opening the chat group, Qin Feng keyed in Chen Ming's name and found that he had become extra active a week ago. He was continually asking about who had their ability awakened. He even went the extra mile by joining other groups to ask the question. Could it be that the experimental group is on the move again? Even since Qin Feng was reborn, he did not let the group capture him again. He was wondering if they had caught some other ability users. No matter what, Qin Feng would not let them get what they wanted. After a quick packing, Qin Feng got into his car and returned to the city with Xiao Bai. Soon after that, he received Zhou Hao's call. Qin Feng, have you heard about the reunion party? Yes. I know about it. Humph, Chen Ming is doing pretty well. He now has an ancient warrior's disposition, has joined a mercenary team. I heard that he has earned a handsome amount of money. I think his inner force is at least at E.tier now. Clearly, Zhou Hao didn't sound too happy. The three of them used to be close friends, where Qin Feng shared a good relationship with two of them. However, Zhou Hao had never liked Chen Ming, who in turn, could do nothing about it. Truth to be told, Chen Ming behaved like a hypocrite. After the space rift incident, Zhou Hao knew that Chen Ming was no longer on good terms with Qin Feng. The two of them did not argue about it because they were too busy after they were awakened. Let's not talk about him. You should be awakened as well, right? With the G.tier enhancing potions and talent fruit that Qin Feng gave him, Zhou Hao should have been awakened by now. Humph, I'm just not happy that he is acting so arrogantly. He must be thinking that he's the most powerful one among us. I could have hunted in the wilderness if I hadn't enrolled in the advanced academy, said Zhou Hao, obviously agitated. Let's not think about him. I will go and pick you up tomorrow, and we will go to the hotel together. Whoa. Qin Feng, you're going to drive your hover car to pick me up. What do you say about letting me have a go in it? Do as you wish. After chatting for a while, they eventually hung up the call. 25 days had passed since the beginning of the month, but it seemed like Zhou Hao had not awakened yet. If that was indeed the case, Qin Feng would have to make Zhou Hao enroll in the martial art academy. Though the martial arts academy was actually a school, the students were actually given the freedom to arrange their own classes. They could even take the test early if they wanted to. After all, everyone progressed at different rates. There was a caveat to all of that. There was no such thing as retaking the exam in the academy. Once Qin Feng passed the first semester's test, could he start to think of how he was going to fully utilize his time? It was the next morning. Qin Feng woke up, seeing Xiao Bai still soundly asleep on the pillow. He now wondered if he should get his own personal home. Although it was true that a motel was a convenient place to stay, it was simply too small. It was getting harder for Xiao Bai to move around freely. Besides, each motel he checked into had their own set of characteristics. Suddenly, he felt like a gypsy. Or perhaps a nomad. After spending the entire morning training, he looked at his watch, realizing it was time for him to pick up Zhou Hao. Xiao Bai, let's go. Qin Feng then opened up his backpack, and the very excited Xiao Bai jumped into it. When he was done checking out from the motel, he drove over to Wanzhong Equipment Shop. Little Sun was waiting for him outside. The moment he saw Qin Feng, he quickly approached the hover car. Mr. Qin, you are finally here. Your order is ready. Please follow me. Hold on. There's no need to rush. Before that, I'd like to sell something. Immediately, Qin Feng took out the energy cores that he collected. A single energy core was the size of a fingernail. With 300 of them in one bunch, they looked like an impressive collection of rare marbles. Little Sun's jaw dropped at the sight of the precious relics. For the second time, he had struck another big deal. Hold on, please. Let me help you count them. There was no way that he could do it alone. There was another middle-aged woman in the shop, but Little Sun avoided bothering her as she was the store manager. Thankfully for him, another employee was available the moment he was done serving another customer. Come here and help me. I will give you 10% of whatever I earn. Deal. No one said no to money. Immediately, Little Sun and his colleague produced some tools to assist in counting the energy cores. Pust. This is nothing. The store manager saw that the two of them were sweating as they counted the energy cores. She seemed to be completely calm and unbothered, but in actual fact, her heart started to grow green with jealousy. To make matters worse, Little Sun didn't even blink twice at her. Half an hour later, they were done counting the energy cores. Mr. Qin, the total we can give you for 300 energy cores is 4.13 million yuan. Please confirm it. Qin Feng took a quick look at it and signed his signature approving the count. The shop could either sell the cores or even turn them into something else after buying them from Qin Feng. No matter what, this was still a great yield to them, credits to Little Sun, of course, who made the deal possible. You can deduct the remaining cost of my equipment from here. Qin Feng proposed. Okay. I will give you 1.43 million yuan then. Please examine the equipment and inform me if there's anything you're not happy about. The two of them then entered a private room where Little Sun took out a box that contained Qin Feng's equipment. Qin Feng took a good look at it, discovering a shirt made of runes, a wrist guard, and one saber. Both the shirt and wrist guard were in a cool jet black. This was not the original color of the giant rat's skin. It had been dyed black during the crafting process. However, there was an irremovable silver glaze on top of it. Chapter 39. Verdant Emperor Saber. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The Verdant Emperor Saber was the pinnacle of equipment made out of Beast. King tier materials. Wasting no time, Qin Feng took off his jacket and put on his new shirt. It was a tight fit, but he was comfortable enough. It even nullified the sweltering heat of the summer. As a bonus, this shirt was extremely durable as well, being able to withstand the rigors of a G. Tier Beast King. Not bad. Qin Feng nodded his head and put on his jacket to cover the shirt. As for the 2 wrist guards, he had decided not to put it on to avoid catching the unnecessary attention of the public. The saber is inspired by period designs from the Tang dynasty. Every designer would name a weapon that had been made with Beast.King tier materials. This saber is called Verdant Emperor Saber. The sheath of this saber is made from the remaining leather that you passed to us. I believe this leather sheath will be able to preserve the saber well. It is 65 centimeters long in total, its hilt 20 centimeters, and its blade, 45 centimeters. As for its width, it is 3.2 centimeters. Its special blade is only 0.7 centimeters thick. This saber is rated as a G5 silver. Ray rune weapon, powerful enough to ignore the defense of any G.tier ultra beast skin. It can even be used to hunt down F.tier ultra beasts. This weapon can also be equipped with F.tier rune. When Qin Feng held the sheath with the saber in it, he could barely feel its contents. The sheath had been hardened. The sword was just the right size as well, considering the limited amount of materials that Qin Feng had given them. He then slowly drew the saber, and a sparkling silver ray shone right into his eyes. However, the blade itself was not silver in color. In fact, the blade did not even reflect light, as it was made of an ultra beast's bones, teeth, and claws. That explained its bone white hue. Usually, one could choose special dyes to paint the weapon into different shades, but Qin Feng did not place any special requests. After close examination, the blade turned out to be green in color. Its name, the Verdant Emperor blade, made perfect sense now. From the outside, it may look extremely fragile. When one wielded it, however, the person would instantly know that the blade was practically indestructible. Very good. I'm happy with it. Qin Feng nodded his head and let out a contented sigh. Our customer's satisfaction is of utmost importance to us, said Little Sun while bowing. Next, he passed Qin Feng a cylindrical container that was 1 meter long and 10 centimeters wide. It seemed big enough to fit his newly minted saber. A strap had also been conveniently attached, enabling it to be slung over his shoulder. It was essential that Qin Feng concealed his new equipment since he was in the colony. The place was known to fester with people of ill intentions, and he would be their prime target. As he finished up with the shop, Qin Feng then drove to Zhou Hao's place to pick him up. The moment he arrived, Zhou Hao, who had put on a combat suit, ran to Qin Feng in excitement. In this era, one's status was determined by combat suits, not the conventional suit and tie. A set of golden combat suit would literally set the hearts of everyone in the colony on fire and jealousy to soar. What do you think? Am I handsome? My dad bought this for me to celebrate my awakening into an ancient warrior's disposition. Haha. He had already obtained this suit for almost a week, but there was no place for him to wear it. And today, an opportunity had presented itself. He finally found the right occasion to put the set on. Super handsome. Qin Feng, I don't wish to criticize your attire, but you have just bought yourself a car that cost you 8 million. How could you not buy yourself a new battle suit? If I remember correctly, you are still wearing the same set as the last time I saw you. It doesn't really matter. It's just a reunion party between classmates. It's not like we are going to compete against each other. Well. Others might look down on you if you dress like that. Since when have they looked down on me? Asked Qin Feng while twisting his wrists. If it was not for the experiment that he had gone through before, he was not to be messed with. Qin Feng had spent his entire childhood at the orphanage, and so was forced to mature faster than ordinary kids. Being forced into adulthood before his time, he would never allow others to take advantage of him. In the intermediate academy, his results were the best amongst his peers, where he would place first in combat class every year. This was mostly because his physique was better than most of the students who were scrawny and malnourished. As a result, he was feared by many. His potential was limitless and stood to have the brightest of futures, although he came from a poor background. You are right. The battle suit you're wearing today doesn't live up to this hover car. Quick. 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 Allow me to drive. Zhou Hao could not wait for Qin Feng to move to the passenger seat. He could finally fulfill his long-awaited dream of driving this revered hover car. Surprisingly, Qin Feng was not annoyed by his friend's irritating antics. Instead, he quickly moved to the next seat and placed his backpack on his thighs. Eek! Eek! Xiaobai squirmed around in the backpack until it found a comfortable spot to stay still. Qin Feng tapped his backpack lightly, reminding Xiaobai not to reveal itself to others. The car was then switched to hover mode. There was still some time left before the reunion, so the overjoyed Zhou Hao flew the hover car across 2 streets before finally landing the car on the road. I can't wait to see the looks on their faces when they see me driving in, said Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao was really worried about the car's energy consumption. He had heard horror stories that a single drive would typically cost hundreds of thousands of yuan. It was true that the car was perfect, but it simply required too much money to keep it running. So after having great fun with the car, he proudly flew it in the direction of the Zhengyuan Hotel. In actual fact, the hotel was not that big. It was just perfect for a reunion party like that. At most, everyone would only need to pay 100 yuan. Back when he was still living in the orphanage, it took 3 days of back-breaking labor to earn 100 yuan. That explained why Qinming had mocked Qin Feng while they were talking on the phone. The moment Qin Feng and Zhou Hao got down from the car, a girl called out for them. Did I see that right? Zhou Hao, is that your car? The girl was reasonably pretty, she looked somewhat familiar, but Qin Feng had forgotten her name. After all, he had left Qingyang Colony for many years now. Surely, he would not remember any of them unless they kept in touch with him. Of course not. It's... Zhou Hao wanted to tell her that the hover car belonged to Qin Feng, but instead, Qin Feng signaled him with his eyes to stop him from telling the truth. Immediately, he changed his story. It belongs to my friend. Good, right. Your friend must be really powerful and rich. You must both share a strong relationship since he is willing to lend you such an expensive car, said the girl who was visibly shocked. Knowing a friend of such stature usually provided useful aid when in hard times. The girl would surely faint if she knew the friend Zhou Hao mentioned was actually Qin Feng. After exiting the car, the 3 of them walked into the hotel. Most of their old classmates were present. Chapter 40. Terrorists. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the Intermediate Academy, 30 students were in the graduating class of 16-year-olds. There was a 2-tabled private room as well, indicating obvious segregation. Within the room, Zhao Yuanyuan and Chen Ming were in the limelight, both busy receiving congratulatory praises for having their abilities awakened. One of them already a member of a mercenary team, and was rumored to have earned 50,000 yuan this month alone. In the eyes of these fresh graduates who had only just stepped out into the world, 50,000 yuan was an unobtainable amount. They were accustomed to being supported by their parents. To some of the less wealthy students, 50,000 yuan was 5 years' worth of their parents' salary. Qingming had earned the entire sum in all but a month. Now, who wouldn't have envied that? Zhou Hao, Qin Feng, you're here. Chen Ming called out to them, waving, but as his friends drew closer, his brows creased. Zhou Hao was equipped with a combat suit. Zhou Hao. Your combat suit looks real good. Has your ability been awakened? Chen Ming asked. Oh, no. But no worries there. Ancient dispositions are easily awakened. I have been training hard recently, but I haven't done as well as you have, Chen Ming. Zhou Hao sighed, unsmiling. No, no. I'm doing whatever I'm doing just to get by. You know what it's like for orphans like us. Chen Ming simply smiled. He knew that Zhou Hao's father worked at the training center. Zhou Hao had also only awakened for a month, he probably still lacked aptitude. There was no need to worry. Those thoughts put Chen Ming's mind at ease, and subsequently, his brows relaxed as he turned his attention to Qin Feng. When he saw that his friend was dressed in the familiar faded jeans and a white T-shirt, his delight and pleasure were apparent. In school, he had always come second to Qin Feng, and Chen Ming had to pretend to be friendly despite having no intention of doing so. He only did it so he could covertly learn Zhou Hao and Qin Feng's secrets, hoping to undermine and beat them. Qin Feng, what have you been up to? I haven't seen you around lately. Did you get yourself a job? Chen Ming could not help but feel smug as he posed the question. A job? Our awakening period hasn't even come yet. Is this the right time to talk about these things? Qin Feng answered lightly. Sometimes, you never know who gets the last laugh, answered Qin Feng. Qin Feng, come over here. A voice called out. Chen Ming froze. Qin Feng turned around and saw that it was Xiao Jing. She had taken the entire day off so she could attend the reunion. Being a garrison soldier now, she could not simply leave her post, but when she thought of Qin Feng attending the event, she felt the need to come. Xiao Jing never told anyone about her posting in the garrison. On the other table in the private room, Chen Ming and Zhao Yuanyuan were laughing and chatting away. Those who sat at the table were all from wealthy families. Even if their abilities or ancient disposition were not awakened, they could easily become gunners because of their influence. Of course, these upper-class families were never fans of combat and would usually start a business in the colony. Without much trouble too. Qin Feng followed Xiao Jing to the other table, Zhou Hao went along with them. Hey, Qin Feng, since when were you so close to Xiao Jing? But then again, although she's not the prettiest around, I'm sure she'll make an excellent wife and mother. Qin Feng elbowed Zhou Hao, giving him the eye and indicating him to shut up. Xiao Jing's ancient warrior's abilities were awakened, so she could definitely hear Zhou Hao's jeering with her improved hearing abilities. Zhou Hao, it looks like things have been going well for you. Let's compare notes when you're free. My ancient warrior's abilities have just been awakened, and I'm short on a partner to practice with. She said it under her breath but just loud enough for Zhou Hao to hear, a scowl visible on her face. Ah, is this still the Xiao Jing that I know? Zhou Hao chuckled. Have mercy, your highness. Spare me. Thankfully, the friendly jibe eased the tension between them. Soon, the dishes were served, and the classmates chatted amiably with each other. Yet to be burdened by livelihood, everyone in the room was carefree and mostly at ease. Their utopia, however, was soon to be very rudely disrupted. Boom! A deafening explosion shook the entire hotel, its massive shockwave throwing tables into the air while hurling dishes and food all over the floor. The chandelier hanging on the ceiling fell and shattered into a million pieces together with the broken crockery. But that was not the most frightening part yet. The private room the reunion was held in was on the first floor. So, when the explosion happened, the wall facing the road blew out, crumbling and exposing the room to the streets outside with a gaping hole. Ha ha! Students were scattered all over, screaming in fear and confusion. Unfortunately, their terrified shrieks were met with peals of laughter from unknown assailants, followed by another deafening rattle of machine guns firing. Take cover. All of you. Get down on your hands and knees. Hurry. Xiao Jing shouted as she pulled out the mechanical weapon in her bag. Even though she did not have an energy gun, the machine should be enough. Bang! 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 Xiao Jing began to counterattack but was quickly overwhelmed by the enemy. Qin Feng responded instinctively. Without so much as a thought, he lifted the table made out of solid wood and hurled it towards the massive cavity in the wall. Bang! 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 The table was perforated with a row of bullet holes. Ah! The people in the room screamed. Thankfully, with the table acting as a barricade, they managed to make a run for it. The person who was attacking them kicked the table aside in a fury, breaking the wood into tiny pieces. An ancient warrior. One kick revealed the enemy's strength. It was then that a whole group of them entered the room. They were all clad in black from head to toe, and the masks they had on their faces had a white spider printed on it. Black Spider. The anti-human group. Finally, everyone in the room understood the reason behind all the commotion. Arg! I don't want to die. Help me. Help. Everyone was screaming hysterically. Amid the chaos, a few lucky ones managed to run out of the door. Those who too far away from the exit could only crouch with their hands over their heads or lie flat on the floor to avoid getting shot. Some students had already been hit and were screaming as they fell through the stairs. The gruesome situation turned Qin Feng extremely furious, fists clenched, and digging his nails into his palms. He took out the scroll holder from behind him and drew his verdant emperor saber. Xiao Jing, on the other hand, had only just awakened, and shooting was not her strength. The firearm in her hand smashed to pieces. How dare you return fire? You even brought a gun. F***ck. What a waste of my time, growled one of the gunmen. One of the Black Spider guys looked around and ordered, take away all the girls and kill all the boys.